Hey folks, welcome back. It's been a minute. If you felt abandoned, I apologize for that. I'm sorry. Anyway, I have been working and sort of bobbing and weaving and sort of dealing with what's going on in reality. I've also been paying attention. I've been tuned in, waiting for something of substance to sort of come to me, because there's been a lot. There's been a lot to coalesce. There's been a lot of new information that's coming out. There's been a lot of misinformation coming out, and it seemed important to me to sort of sit back and watch and take it all in. And so that's also what I've been doing. So I've been working, I've been showing up for life, which when you are burdened with knowledge, showing up for life is an accomplishment. It's an achievement in and of itself. When we sort of know what's going on and we can feel it, for those of us who are activated, we can feel what's going on, and there's this massive upheaval happening, and it anticipation brings with it its own sort of inherent sense of optimism, and so there is certainly an optimistic aspect to all of this, and hope, and that maybe this one time things will work out the way they're supposed to, and that's been buoying us along. But at the same time, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of unknowing and doubt. There's a lot of fear that's sort of being used. There's also a bunch of phonies out there just putting out information and, misinformation, really. And that information is sort of being put out now to keep us distracted, to keep us sort of pointed in the wrong direction. It is a form of misdirection, actually. And to keep us sort of, because what we've done over the last 3 years is develop this sort of highly critical, hypervigilant muscle in our minds. And as a result, we've become like these hypercritical thinking beings, which is amazing. But that can, like everything, it can either serve us or it can, over time it can serve against us. And so, our Ascernment has been sort of cranked up, and that is good. And, this hypercritical thinking is good as well. But if you just keep feeding that, right? If you're just sort of out there like looking for the next piece of data or the next intel drop or the next post from Dan Scavino or something like that, your mind is always sort of out there, right? You're always out there looking for the next piece of intel, when at this point it should be sort of dawning on us. And I know I've seen influencers and folks, who are claiming to sort of be spiritual guides, saying this. And so I do see it gaining traction. This is about what we're doing on the inside. And yours truly has kind of been saying that all along, right? Like, the faster we heal ourselves, the faster the world heals. The faster each one of us as individuals becomes healed, right? Does the personal growth work? I don't know. Achieves some degree of peace, inner peace, right? That's really what healing is about. Until some percentage or small majority, or however we want to think of it, sort of attains this internal state, the external reality, as we know, is just going to sort of stay the same. So I have heard people talking about that, and that is good. But that really is where all the action is right now. And so if we see folks out there creating distractions, and one of the best ways I've noticed to sort of keep human beings on planet Earth distracted nowadays is through division, right? If you can create divisiveness, if you can create a reason to sort of point the finger at someone else or to sort of separate yourself from someone else, that will keep you thoroughly distracted. And, there's the sort of Patriot Movement where, the enlightened digital soldiers, no more than the normies who are just sort of sleepwalking through life. That's a divisive narrative right now. And though it did sort of have its purpose in it, and there is this movement, in America right now that is very important, we have to be careful, to be mindful about how far away it takes us from each other. If we're talking about the Ascension Narrative, same thing, right? What is ascending but sort of going up, right? We're elevating ourselves beyond sort of what's beneath us. That is a divisive narrative right now that's being used against people who have turned on this sort of hypercritical motor, right? That is sort of just running, like, and then throw in aliens, right? Like, aliens had me stumped for a while. Like, I was, they disrupted my understanding of God. And that bummed me out for a while, and I didn't realize it. And one day it just dawned on me, like, oh, like, right, God is unknowable. Like, God is bigger, even bigger than I thought. Like, oh, we need a new God. Like, we need a whole new understanding of God, right? A God that includes life on other planets and other galaxies. Like, he created that life too, or God created that life too. So all of this sort of scrambling, to coalesce what's going on out there has in a way been its own PSYOP, right? Whether it's the Ascension Narrative or the Patriot Narrative or the Divine Feminine Narrative or the Divine Masculine Narrative, like anything that takes us apart from each other is, being used to keep us apart, right? Because the truth is that we're frequency data that's being perceived by a human central nervous system, and projected into this 3D reality, okay? We're waveforms. And we're all part of the same soup, okay? So we're all part of the same soup. We're all connected, right? And so what I think and what I do and what the sort of inner chatter in my brain, okay, that affects you, okay? That affects reality, okay? Same with you. If you're out there and you're just like casting shade on people and, you're just in a foul mood, that affects everyone else. Okay. And the opposite is also true. Like if we're, like in such a good mood that we want to park ourselves in front of a couple video cameras and a bright light on a Friday afternoon and start like hollering at the world, that is contagious as well. That's one of the reasons I'm here today. I'm in a good mood. And I wanted to share that with you because I have looked at some of my videos and just sort of realized that it, while knowledge is super important and being sort of ordained with the information so that you can use it and you can apply it to your own life, people who do well and people who sort of help the most, like, are also uplifting, right? And they also, they do give people comfort and the notion that it's going to be okay, and it's going to be okay. Everything is always going to be okay. That is one of my mantras that I've lived by, and I believe it's true. Everything's always going to be okay. This is a simulation. We're just here having fun, playing around on planet Earth, but we are being tested and scored, right? This simulation, that we're going through, how we perform during this simulation does have some impact on the future. And, which brings me back to my original point. Okay. These are busy times. There's a lot to pay attention to, but really there's not. Okay. Because remember, the opposite is always true on the inverted planet Earth that we live on. Having said that, we can again, surmise that the more it becomes about what's going on out there, right, the more it should truly become about what's going on inside, okay? If they're trying to convince us to sort of coalesce all the data points, right, and they want us to pay attention to this and that and that and that and that and all that, what we can surmise, is that we should probably do the opposite. And the opposite of that is going within. Okay. The opposite of that is rejecting the reality, that we've been sort of stricken with in little ways, even if we have to. Like, no, man, I'm not going to care about my job today. You know what I mean? Like, I'm off, like it's 5 o'clock, I'm done working, like I'm done caring about this corporation that doesn't care about me. That's just a mild little form of rebellion that, just to take into consideration as we sort of reject this reality. Or, you know what, like, I'm just not going to be overly concerned with what Tucker Carlson has to say tonight. Or I'm not going to fret. Okay, I'm not going to lose it, over the fact that the Queen died. A rejection of the reality, of the fabricated reality that they're trying to force feed us. And it's really, about bathing in that feeling of being free, right? Like, really feeling free flies in the face of what, is being spoon-fed to us right now. And these are these mild acts of rebellion that we really should be focusing on, as this is an inside job. Telling people that you really think they're cool, or, that you really love their style, or you love the way they do this, or, that you don't even know how they did that because it baffles your mind. Giving other people some credit right now is a great way to sort of rebel against what they want us to be doing, because all of these external narratives, all of this chatter is about keeping us separated from one another, when in fact, like, the way we win is to come back together. Okay. People have missed one another. People have been isolated from each other. We are the most interconnected generation or society in human history, and yet we're the most isolated as well. And this is, again, by design. So what's the opposite of being isolated? Being connected, being around each other. Just going to where I go, to get my coffee, Starbucks, people are, dying to connect with each other. You can just feel it. And this is great. This is great as far as I'm concerned, because it's going to happen. Like, it's just going to happen. Like today it hit me all at once. Like, oh, it's happening, right? It's happening. But I do want to sort of, I don't know, just put some good news out there that it is happening. And the more we spend, the more time we spend giving other people some credit, remembering like how cool other people are, like watching other people do stuff that they're really good at, like, I don't know, dancing or surfing or singing or whatever, and really just sort of appreciating like human beings, humanity, each other. We're all going through this period now where we have to understand that, okay, for instance, Space Force, okay? If you're a truther, you know what Space Force is. But did you know that Space Force is about inner space, okay? It's about cyberspace. It's not about outer space. Space Force is about monitoring what's going on in the internal realms right now, okay? We need to understand that everything we think, okay, everything we think when we're triggered, right? Like, we get cut off in traffic. Like, we have a thought, okay? We have a behavior that may or may not be connected to that thought. And ultimately, we sort of have to keep moving throughout life. Or we can choose to, lose it, have road rage, and, I don't know, smash into a mailbox or something like that. But every single thought we have, every single emotion, every single peak and valley, okay, every spike in our electromagnetic frequency is captured and measured, okay? I mean, we definitely demonstrate all that with what's going on, social media, the internet. Like, that all captures all that data as well. All of our microphones, like even what I'm saying right now, they're all capturing, voice data. And, all of our cameras, can be turned on and activated whenever they want to, capturing, physical video data, but our thoughts, okay, what comes out of our minds, they can also monitor that, okay, what comes out of our hearts, what's in our hearts, okay, what our deepest desires are. Those are also being kept track of, okay, so we have to understand that everything about who we are, which essentially constitutes our vibration. And that vibration can be monitored. It can be hacked into, and it can be sort of kept track of, just like what you shop for at the grocery store. And so being at peace right now, okay, is literally being kept track of. So, if we have some pattern of behavior that undermines us, right? We have something we do, like, I don't know, like eating Haagen-Dazs in the middle of the night that is undermining our lives right now. Like that repetitive sort of self-sabotage is being kept track of, okay? It is being scored, and it is indicating to reality where we are on this evolutionary journey, okay? We are literally self-indicating, okay? We are opting into the new reality in real time. And so, again, this is why the internal personal growth work is the most important thing right now. This is why who you are on the inside is truly the most important thing right now, because I believe, that we have a score basically in our hearts, okay? Like our hearts tell a very true story about the lives we've lived, like what we've overcome, what we've been put through, what tragedies we've dealt with, and, whether or not we still care enough to, pull over and help a turtle cross the road, or, if we find an abandoned baby squirrel in the backyard in the middle of a hurricane, are we looking out just for ourselves, or do we make time and space? Do we have it? Even though we were maybe at one point in our lives a baby squirrel that was left out in the storm and no one was looking out for us, do we have the resilience, to be compassionate for others, even when perhaps that same compassion was not shown to us? And that's really where we are. This is a very critical time where what our hearts, what is contained in our hearts are truly, indicating what's next. You might be out there, following the latest, I don't know, Pleiadian, right? Like incarnated here on planet Earth, who just found out, a year and a half ago that, he's from outer space. I want you to know that personality, that being, if they aren't telling you to get back into your own self, they're just a distraction, okay? If the content, that you're feeding yourself with right now isn't pointing back to you, like, you need to find some new content, okay? Because the most important thing right now is to have a happy heart, okay? The most important thing right now is to have a happy heart. The most important thing right now is to be excited for your neighbor. The most important thing right now is to love other people, to be in love with other people, to be fascinated by how cool people are, to want human connection more than anything, to want to be surrounded by people who are sort of vibing with you. This is where the magic is right now, and this is where the power is, right? If we want to win, okay, it's time to start being nice to each other. It's time to start congratulating and celebrating each other. We can only do that when we celebrate ourselves, right? We can't give people something that we don't have ourselves. We can't make a person feel loved if we don't love ourselves. So we have got to help ourselves. We've got to fix ourselves. We've got to make ourselves, we've got to meet the priorities of our priorities. We have to be the people that we want to look up to, right? We have got to become the people, we've got to become the parents, to our inner children respectively, that those inner children have always wanted. We have to become the human beings, that can survive in a new reality on a new earth. We have to meet that new reality where it is. We can't expect it to come down here and lift us up. Like, we have to meet it up here. And that, that all happens as an internal job. So, stick with it. Keep doing that personal growth work. Keep being, mindful of how you affect others. Be mindful of how you affect yourself. Like, be mindful of how you're talking to yourself, like how you're treating yourself on the inside. Like, how do you feel after spending time alone with yourself? How do you feel when things don't necessarily go your way? How do you feel when they don't go according to plan? Look at those, analyze those feelings. Like, are you cool with it? And I'll tell you, like, the answer is the right answer is like, yeah, I'm cool. Like, always. The right answer is always, I'm cool. Okay. Like, that's it. It's, we have to start being cooler to ourselves and to everyone else. I'm here to remind everybody, not to get too distracted. Okay. With what's going on out there. I don't know, keep your cool, like, amidst the tempest. You're winning, and you really are helping, okay? The more of us who just sort of being ourselves, like being our coolest selves as the fit is hitting the shan, the more we are self-indicating and the more we are indicating back, to that which is sort of measuring all of this, that we're ready. That we are ready to embody a new earth, that we are ready to embody a new reality, that we are ready to step into this new reality that we have all sensed for a very long time is there. How we treat ourselves, how we treat each other, that is what is going to determine how long or short that time is until we can fully embody this new earth that we can all sort of feel and know is on the horizon. So I've missed you guys. I'm glad to be back. Hopefully you guys are happy to see me. That's all I've got for now. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you next time.